Hey everyone, I'm Ermysenigma, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another make your own pack event video. And this time around, we get to construct a pack consisting of an Underworld monster, an Undead monster, and an Epic monster. And like I've been doing recently, I'm only going to talk about the monsters that I think are really worth getting, and I'm not going to mention the other ones. And so let's begin by talking about Epic monsters, starting things off with Growler. Growler, in my opinion, is one of the best Epic monsters ever to be released. And as of the time recording this video, he is currently the only Epic monster that's immune to possession. And aside from that, he's available to use in team wars involving Undead rules and Bad Legion rules. And as for being an Epic monster, a speed of 2930 is pretty darn fast. This makes him tied for 25th place when you consider every single Epic monster currently released. And moving on to some of the skills that make this monster truly amazing, check out Brain Hemorrhage. This skill only targets a single enemy, however it will possess that enemy for 2 full turns, which basically means you get one of the enemy monster on your team for 2 turns. And let's just say that the enemy is immune to possession. Well, thankfully for you, Growler also has a single stun skill. And he's also quite powerful, having a 40 damage dark based AoE. And although I wouldn't go as far as to say this monster is tanky, at least he does have a skill that can give him a shield, a 20% mini shield. And another really cool skill this monster has is Wasteland Toxins, which basically grants debilitating shadows to all of the enemy monsters. And for those of you that don't know, debilitating shadows basically makes the enemy weak to dark attacks, so all of your dark attacks will be 80% stronger. Which means that in certain situations, if you can make Growler go before your attacker, and let's say your attacker is a dark monster with a dark based AoE, your dark attacker is pretty much going to be taking out all of the enemy team. And so you definitely want to do yourself a favor and pick up Growler. In terms of this make your own pack event, he is my #1 recommendation for the Epic monsters. And just to really quickly take a look at another monster, let's look at Wolf Tengen. The main reason I like this monster is because of his full moon attack. This skill clears all negative effects and heals your own team, and it gives them double damage. So this is a team skill that can give your whole team double damage, heal their life, remove any debuffs, which is an amazing supportive skill. Aside from that, his trait is hardened, meaning that 20% of the time a negative effect won't land, meaning it's very possible that the enemy may do an AoE stun, AoE possession, AoE freeze, and 20% of the time Wolf Tengen won't be immobilized, which means he can clear the negative effects from his other allies that are immobilized. And even though Full Moon is the main reason I like this monster, I should also mention that he does have a 60 damage attack that also lifesteals 50%, and he has a 0 cooldown skill that applies damage reduction to the enemy monster, which pretty much can remove a damage boost, a double damage boost, or triple damage boost from the enemy monster if they happen to have one. So for Epic monsters, Wolf Tengen would be my runner-up, but I still highly recommend that you get Growler instead. And moving on to the Undead monsters, there's 2 monsters I'm going to recommend, the first of which is Scribe. Now the thing about Scribe is that he has really amazing skills, he has an amazing trait, but his speed is really lacking. 3344 is a terrible speed for a Deny monster. However, with the introduction of the library and team wars involving books, that doesn't really matter too much, because currently in the Undead book, I would have to say Scribe is one of the most amazing monsters. And one of the reasons I say that is because of this skill right here. May possessed target gains 1 extra turn, so not only do you possess an enemy monster, and what do you do with that extra turn? Well, you just possess another monster. So Scribe pretty much has the ability to possess 2 monsters. And if you're thinking, what's the big deal, there's other dark monsters that have an AoE possession, that's true, but you gotta keep in mind that an AoE possession has a 90% accuracy. Here, both of the single possession skills have a 95% accuracy. And not to mention that you don't have to use both possession skills. If you do the first possession skill that grants you an extra turn, you can do another skill. Let's say 2 of the enemy monsters are immune to possession. Why would you want to use an AoE possession, or why would you want to use your 2 possession skills with Scribe? Instead, you can possess the one monster that isn't immune to possession. If you happen to fail, you have another chance to possess them. Or if you do possess them, you can do another attack. For example, you can do group therapy if you happen to be going up against magic monsters that can possess your team. Now your whole team will be immune to possession. Or if they happen to be dark monsters, really powerful dark monsters, you can give your whole team immunity to dark attacks. Or you have a nice little nifty skill right here, Rorschach Test, which basically applies 1 random negative effect to the target. So you can pretty much just gamble with the other monsters and see what kind of negative effect you can land on them. And so in the Undead category, I definitely have to say that Scribe is one of my most recommended monsters. You definitely want to be sure to pick him up. And next up is Dr. Vicktor, the creator of the Monster Lab. Now, as of the time recording this video, in the Undead category, Dr. Vicktor is the 3rd fastest monster, and he's 3rd only to Heyman and Noctum, which aren't really Deny monsters, they're more of attackers. And so if you're looking for a really good Deny monster in the Undead category, you definitely want to pick up Dr. Vicktor. The main problem with Dr. Vicktor, I would have to say, would be his trait. Immunity to Daze is not a really good trait, immunity to Stun would have been way better. And skills wise, there's 2 main reasons why Dr. Vicktor really shines. The first of which is that he has an AoE stun skill. In the Undead category, the only monster immune to stun is Osteoclast, which means Dr. Vicktor can be a pretty good defensive monster. And his other really good skill is AC/DC area, which is an AoE blind and an AoE burning, which many times is probably better than doing the AoE stun. If you've ever faced off against an Egg Eater and Egg Eater doesn't do AoE possession, but instead does his AoE blind and burn skill, you know what I'm talking about. And so because Dr. Vicktor has an AoE blind and burn and an AoE stun, he can be a pretty good monster to put on defense, especially because he's pretty fast. And so if you're looking for an undead defensive monster, definitely go for Dr. Vicktor. I do need to mention, however, this would probably only work if you have really good high level runes, because if you don't, if the enemy has a scribe and they attack your Dr. Vicktor, keep in mind that your trait isn't going to protect you, which means that scribe can easily possess Dr. Vicktor, and then there's that chance that Dr. Vicktor can stun your whole team or burn and blind your whole team, which would basically make it really easy to defeat your defense team. And so both Dr. Vicktor and Scribe are really good monsters. As for which monster is worth getting, at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to you. If you need a monster for defense and offense, go for Dr. Vicktor. And if you need a monster more so for offense than defense that can counter Dr. Vicktor, go for Scribe. And as for the Underworld category, there's only really one monster I'm going to be recommending, and that's Barbados, but there's another monster I'm going to briefly talk about. And so for those of you that are new to the game, Barbados is basically one of the most powerful attackers in the game, and quite honestly, he's probably the monster that can deal the most amount of damage in a single turn. And the main reason that is because of his self-buff skill, Blood Covenant. Although this skill will drain 20% of your current life for the next 2 turns, it also gives you double damage, it gives you stamina regeneration, which means you pretty much never have to recharge, and you also get an extra turn. And on that following turn, you're able to use Master of Pain, which is a 90 damage attack that has 100% accuracy and it has no cooldown. Or if you want to try to take out the whole enemy team, you could always use Hellfire, which is a special base 35 damage attack, so it doesn't matter if you attack a dark monster with this attack. It has a 3-turn cooldown, but it's also an AoE burning, which means even if you don't completely finish off the enemy monsters, maybe the burning is going to kill them. And so it goes without saying, if you're looking for a dark attacker, if you're looking for an underworld attacker, you definitely need to get Barbados. And as for the other monster I quickly want to mention, it's Rador. And the reason Rador is worth mentioning is because of his power stat. 3,850 is currently the highest in the whole entire game. In second place is the VIP monster Kai the Eradicator, and he only has 3,663. And after Kai the Eradicator is Worker Hulk, who I don't even know, he is an attacker but he's extremely slow so he's not usable, who has a power of 3,619. And next to that is all the monsters that have a power of 3,575, and thus Rador is an extremely powerful monster. And as for skills, he does boast a 65 special based attack that has a 1-turn cooldown, a 50 damage fire based attack that grants him double damage, as well as an AoE burning attack that also gives him increased accuracy, which pretty much means your next attack isn't going to be missing. So if you're looking for a powerful fire monster who's also in the Underworld category, you can definitely pick up Rador. You could also pick up Greedy Dragon if he ever becomes available, but currently for this make your own pack event, I have to recommend Barbados over anyone else. And so in my personal opinion, the best pack you can create is Barbados, Scribe, and Growler, or you can even do Barbados, Dr. Vicktor, and Growler. And for these 3 monsters, I definitely think that 519 gems is a really good price. And so with that being said, that is pretty much going to conclude this video. I really hope this video was helpful. Hopefully it'll help you in your current team wars. Hopefully you'll pick up one of the monsters I recommended. And like always, I'm always curious to hear from all of you guys. Let me know what you guys think about this make your own pack event. Let me know if you guys are going to buy any monsters or all 3 monsters. Whatever's going on through your mind, please let me know in the comments below. With that being said, I'm Armor Gaming. Good luck to everyone on your Monster Legend adventure. And like always, remember to dream big and pursue your passions.